Hi, everyone. Welcome to The New Normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today is Wednesday. It's a super woo-woo Wednesday because it is February, the second month, and the second day, and it's 2022. So we'll jump into some woo-woo with my buddy Public Awakening right after this. Give us a like and share this video. See you guys in just a sec. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
He was like, bam!
I'm like at mom, so my setup is a little off. Sorry about that. I realized I was cutting my head off in the earlier shot. So welcome to Woo Wednesday. Happy Groundhog Day. I used a thumbnail from Oklahoma for Oklahoma weather thing. It's actually Bigfoot Day here in Oklahoma.
I saw that. I didn't get to read the article. I saw it.
It was hilarious. I was excited that the same thing Punxsutawney Phil saw. So Poto Pete, which that's actually at high school. My last 2 years of high school were spent at Poto High School. Mm-hmm. He's actually not our school mascot. We were Poto Pirates. But anyway, this was put out by the Oklahoma Mesonet. You can see their little logo there in the left. But they said February 2nd instead of Groundhog Day was Bigfoot Day in Oklahoma. But he saw no shadow, so spring is supposed to arrive early. So the trend of Punxsutawney Phil's prediction. So
now is there
hilarious.
It's pretty cool. Is there? I do have a question though. Is there a Punxsutawney Phil Mandela effect going on? I saw articles a few days ago that said Punxsutawney Phil died, and then I saw articles this morning that said Punxsutawney Phil says spring is going to come early. So I texted you.
So I heard that he said it was going to go late. Is what I heard today. Hold on, I was able to find my. Oh, please tell me it did not just log me out. My it did.
Your iPhone?
No, all my links on. No, because I have to be. Where is my Safari? It says it's open.
There's always complications, ain't there?
Why does this happen to me? Okay, let's see if it'll log me back in. Yeah, it does. Okay, let me come back on here. Let me scroll through real quick and find my find that post from Punxsutawney Phil. Because it was like I thought it said he had. Here it is. 9 hours ago. Share screen. You guys in the chat, let us know what you were hearing and seeing. Thank you for the love. And thank you guys to everybody that Johnny Litecoin had created a wallet to help mom with funeral expenses, and people that were wanting to send flowers were like, please don't send flowers. Just in lieu of that, if you wanted to make a donation. So Johnny created a Litecoin wallet and people donated to that. And some people sent on my PayPal and I forwarded that to mom. So I appreciate that. I don't know if they want their names mentioned or not, so I won't say anything, but some of them may be in the chat right now.
There's a lot of good ones in the chat.
A lot of good ones in the chat.
A lot of good people who always reach out when tragedy strikes, you know.
Yeah. So this is where it says Punxsutawney Phil has just predicted 6 more weeks of winter.
Great.
So this was, so I said groundhog stew, anyone? But then in Oklahoma, we had the reverse with our, our Bigfoot. It's a big country, and we are in two really totally different locations. But yeah, this was the mesonet, Oklahoma mesonet. Well, it's all over but the shouting and snow and ice. We're getting ready to have a big storm here. And they say he did not see his shadow, so an early spring awaits us. So that's interesting. There's two totally different narratives. I don't know. I'm curious what you guys heard in the
chats.
Shout
out to the chat. Thank you all so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Tom, Ronnie, Rick, G-Chin, Hoddle, Magic, D-Russ. Lots of people in the chat. Rick. Public's in the chat.
Yeah.
Stephen Tyrell. And several people on my Patreon also that watch the show, or that I let Mom know all those personal messages and that she has that support. And it means a lot. She was laughing. I said, all our magic internet friends are sending you lots of love. And she started laughing. She's like, it's funny that you can feel closer to somebody that you met through the internet than some people that might, be right in your own town. So yeah. Hey Trini, good to see you in the chat as well. We were just catching with everyone on Groundhog or Bigfoot Day, depending on what state you live in, I guess. So curious if you guys had heard. But you were saying public that you heard kind of both.
I thought I read the opposite. Yeah, I thought I read the opposite, but now I was reading the chat. D. Russ mentioned before that it was the New Jersey Punxsutawney Phil goes by another name. I don't even know the New Jersey name.
So
he died. That one died.
Oh, he died. The New Jersey one
died. Which is kind of strange.
And Blind Dave Crypto, Mom and I were just talking about you last night, actually. Good to see you in the chat as well.
So it's Mel, New Jersey Groundhog. It doesn't, his name is just Mel. The New Jersey Groundhog. It's not a very New Jersey name. I expect it to be like Joey or like something cool. Vinny Bag of Donuts.
Something with a lot of vowels.
And an attitude. Mm-hmm. He's going to come out. I didn't see no effing shadow. What's up with you?
No, for sure. I also thought it was interesting that today is 2/22. And Uncle Cliff had noticed and put a tweet out about February 22nd of 2020 being the most Tuesday. So get it, Tuesday, and it's all about the twos. Yeah. And so that being a second day, anytime I don't know, he's pointing to a date, that kind of always makes me wonder if that's something. I've been sending you a bunch of stuff. Well, I guess we've been sending back and forth. And we know that there was this, or the noise about, this possible 1-year thing that had to happen before there could be some action. And speaking of Uncle Cliff, I believe it was him that said that the media would go first. And yesterday, Sean and I spoke a little bit about the whole Whoopi apology. And now I guess she's threatening to quit because she's upset about being suspended for 2 weeks.
Oh, an entitled little brat. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. I woke up to some, and now I don't see it on my, some other news.
I got a cool shirt on, by the way. Everybody see my shirt.
Oh, let me see your shirt. I've had a whole education about that whole decentralized thing, but yeah.
I would love for you to, what do you know about that? Because I know I've heard several people in the know speak about how it's just completely it's called decentralized and it's referred to as decentralized, but it's actually run by a few, what are they, master nodes or something? A few people control basically all of the voting or something like that.
Are you talking about Ripple specifically?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't into their water, but
It's septic water, isn't it?
that's
Oh, upsetting the
that's not
chat. Sorry,
my
guys. I'm just kidding.
that's not my and I'm since joining the very DAO, I'm just learning a lot about the whole system and that some of the distraction, even the words. You have to remember, like when the words conspiracy theorist came up, and who really came up with that word or label. And when you see division in a group that together, why do you think that division is put there? So those kind of questions are coming up in my head while I'm learning more about just what's going on in the space. I'm myself about a lot of things within this. There was just a couple little memes to get your brain thinking. There were I've got a couple of memes and videos to share with you guys today, just to kind of get those thought processes going, and for us to remember like who the they is and who the us or we are, and I have to say that, like, in my mind, I think there's more us and we than they, but that's why they use those tools of division. They want to say, oh, let's get them to fight about centralized versus decentralized, when from what I'm learning, I understand the idea of decentralization, but the minute that one person is getting paid or money is being put somewhere, it's being centralized. So really, it's really hard to say anything is decentralized, because if there is one point of power, then there is a centralization of some point, to say something's truly decentralized, it would have to have that total no power, I don't know.
Maybe that's the difference between saying, let's say, Bitcoin is decentralized versus saying the Bitcoin blockchain is decentralized. Maybe those are one of the fine points that we're talking about.
Maybe so. Just to stay on this kind of theme real quick, let me find this other video where he just says it himself. And then I want to go into the media. Oh, this was all. Keep this in mind of what's going on. There's little Trudeau sitting down by being a good little puppy by the China guy. And this is the president of Brazil that he's being ignored by. So he tries to get president of Brazil to shake his hand. See what he did?
He's like, see
quickly. Yeah.
I love those little memes, those little hat and the glasses that they put on.
Yeah, so he sits down. This guy's obviously ignoring him. He's like, I'm so nervous. This is the president of Brazil over here. No. I don't want to get my channel banned for playing songs, so we play that. But anyway, I thought that was epic. And to stay on that theme, let me find the other one.
Bias in the media these days. You sometimes hear about liberal bias in the media these days, how they're constantly letting our government off the hook. You sometimes hear about liberal bias in the media these days, how they're constantly letting our government off the hook for no good reason. Frankly, I think that's insulting. It's clear that they let us off the hook for a very good reason, because we paid them $100 million. You don't get stellar headlines like these greasing the wheels a bit.
So with that in mind, The 1 year thing being a possible. Then, so the whole Joe Rogan podcast thing, where think about if you were had to have to clear out a bunch of media or Hollywood voices without it disturbing the normies too much, or them wondering like where they all went or why is there, what do? You could come up with several stories where they all left because it was their idea. What's going on with the Joe Rogan podcast, where like a bunch of them were guy's name. It's not Neil Diamond.
Neil Young.
Neil Young, thank you. So Neil Young, went through a temper tantrum and said, if you don't take Joe Rogan off Spotify, then I'm taking my study. Went, who's Neil Young? Fine, whatever. So then now there's a lot more of these liberals that are standing in solidarity with Neil Young. And so they're just getting taken off, or they're taking their own stuff off. Yes. So what a convenient way, including, is it Martha or Mary Trump? What's her name?
The mom is Mary Trump, but I'm not sure if that's what you're talking
the
about.
cousin or whatever that talks bad about
I'm not sure.
Mr. T.
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
I never
she
paid
threatened
attention.
to take her stuff off as well. So I'm like, how do you get rid of? See, now those tweets are missing. Anyway, so I was like, how do you get rid of all these people? Oh wait, is this the one? No, that's
because the first time it happened in 2000, what was it? Early 2017, when like thousands and thousands of CEOs and presidents and all these big wigs and these big corporations, they all just got canned like all right at the same time. We weren't paying attention when it happened. Now we're looking for it.
Yeah. So Mary's gone. I woke up this morning, the CNN CEO, he stepped down because he wrote this long letter about how because of the Chris Cuomo investigation, he lied during the investigation. He was asked about a relationship that he's had for over 20 years and when it started. And so he's now been outed for having an inappropriate relationship at work for over 20 years. And so he stepped down.
Typical of these people. He was big for trashing Cuomo as having a conflict of interest with his work when he was referring to Cuomo in the past. Just on
the CNN CEO.
Yeah, he trashed Cuomo big time, saying this is a conflict of interest. You can't do this kind of stuff and all this. And here he is with his conflict of interest. It's like whatever they say, just like think that. Like, it's typical projection. Whatever they're accusing somebody of, they are doing it.
They're going to get taken down for that. Okay. So that was kind of what I woke up seeing. Then there was the Whoopi apology that we saw, or non-apology that she did a second apology for, that they suspended her for, I guess it's 2 weeks. Then this morning I saw that she's mad about that. So she may quit.
She'll
then
show
I
us.
saw, yeah.
Who's really going to write letters and say they want Whoopi back on the air? Seriously. A cranky old lady with a big attitude. Who's going to want to see that every day?
No. Here's the other thing. Then this narrative pops in.
I was going to say that one.
Matt out to take a break from MSNBC to produce a film. Well, this comes right after she was accusing Republicans of putting fake documents in about the count. So she's going on hiatus.
Good. So
who
was she working for? I know the name was somebody. I just don't remember what it was.
MSNBC. Yeah.
No.
MSNBC.
What was the what was the company? She was going to go make a movie, and it was the person who she's making
with Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. Is that what that says? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Which I thought was perfectly appropriate.
Yeah. It's just the timing of this is a little hilarious to me.
Mm-hmm.
But, what a better way to do it. Oh, it's not that they all got fired at once or all, and it's, oh, this one's leaving for a movie. This one got suspended for 2 weeks, but then now she's mad, so she's going to quit. All these people are standing in solidarity with Neil Young, so they're all leaving and going away. But it's this whole side. It's the, it's the lying MSN or MSM, and that it's very interesting
MSN,
because
same.
Sorry, yeah, same. But was it last week? My timing's a little off, but when the UK when Boris came out and made the announcement that dropping all mandates immediately, all this, well, that's been rumored. Or not, depending on your own research, that there were lawsuits. I don't want, you can look into that.
Yep.
And that they don't want to be connected with that, liability now that it's known to be put out there. That's the thing. So, and that's the other thing I'm learning about. You have a responsibility. It's one thing when you don't know about something, but when you're infringing on something or something's brought to your attention, then you have a legal responsibility to stop engaging in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where you're seeing like it's a hard stop with some of these things. So very interesting to me.
Agreed. So that's a good thing. It started kind of in recent times. It started with Alec Baldwin and his shenanigans, which was good. Although I did read an article just recently. Let me.
So maybe it was Hollywood first. Now it's the MSM who's been shown to be making false statements, lying, whatever. Even this weekend, was it this weekend or yesterday? Anyway, last week sometime, I was watching Putin and the Ukraine guy making statements about what's really going on in their country, like actually watching them speak. And my little brother walked in the house and he's like, well, guess we're going to war. And I was like, that's not exactly what they did not say, and he's like, yeah, Russia's invading Ukraine and all this. And I was like, if you actually listen to what the presidents of those countries say, that's not what they say is happening.
Right.
Said that our news media is lying to us and that Biden does what's going on in Ukraine. And that's what the president of Ukraine said.
Yeah.
So you might start there.
Yeah.
But that just shows,
we can't believe anything
the exposure
that they say.
Of our media.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't believe anything that's being told from the good guys and the bad guys at this point, because this is the war that we're in right now. You can't believe
the fog
all the
of
time.
Wu.
Yeah. You can't believe the good guys all the time. You can't believe the bad guys all the time. I mean, the MSM is the same group telling you all the stuff about the medication, and now we're supposed to not believe them with that, but we're supposed to believe them with what's going on in some other country. As far as, to me, it's this, it's the FUD, the typical FUD that, and you were saying before about dividing us all. I mean, that's just been going on for so long now. I mean, they just dividing. Yeah. First, they were dividing the big groups. Now they're dividing the smaller groups, and then they're dividing the subgroups, and then they're dividing the subgroups within the subgroups, and they want everybody fighting all the time. I heard what was it? United we stand, together we win, or something like that.
Oh, together.
It was a
well,
little.
That's
it was a
what
little
they're seeing in Canada. Rice was supposed to have a guy on that was either at or part of the Canadian trucker thing. So if you guys are interested in that, you might check out Rice TV.
Rice TVX.
Rice TVX, and check out his latest interview, because we're planning on watching that tonight. So
yeah. So I read an article this morning, and it was put out by a doctor in Europe, And he basically just said, if you've gotten, medication number 3 and 4 and all those subsequent ones, his statement was, go and get an AIDS test and you'll probably be surprised at what you find. And then it says, and then go sue your government. So apparently there's a lot of positives now, positive test result, positive AIDS test results that are coming about by people who've had the multiple medications.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. It is. It certainly is. I read another article that said there's something called an all-cause death rate, which is basically all the causes, no separating into categories or anything like that. And they said, and this is by a head of an insurance company, one of the large insurance companies. He said it's up 40%. 40. We're up 40% for all deaths. I mean, and while some of the popular deaths, illnesses that are being spoken about and pushed about right now, those are supposedly falling, but yet we have 40% all-cause death rate, up 40% right now. That's unheard of. Like, it normally goes up by like a few percent, or like on a really crazy year, it's like 5%.
I did see an article about, I saw an article about increased, the highest accidents in the last year. And I thought about the accidents that Uncle Cliff talked about.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking to see all of that. Yeah.
It's getting serious. It's getting serious with that. Speaking of that, we have Hershey now. Have you guys heard the Hershey story? Hershey's firing all the unmedicated people.
Yes.
So I'm never buying a Hershey
I
product
wonder
again.
what that's about.
They're following the line, just like Starbucks did, and they had to call it back. They were strong in it on, they started really pushing that for all their employees months back. And then literally they closed, like so many Starbucks were closed all over the place. The one in town here by me, it's closed. It's open for a week. It's closed for 2 weeks. It's open for a week. It's closed for 2 weeks. It's open for 2 weeks. It's closed for 2 weeks. All of the employees keep getting sick, calling out. They got all these people, all their staff is calling out and having to take time out for whatever.
And I thought that was all proved unconstitutional, and so walked back. I don't understand how they can do that.
The Supreme Court, well, they're a private company. They can do anything they want. If you want to work for them, you got to play by their games. If they just can't, they can't call it a law per se. It's got to be it's got to be their rule, but these are our rules. Yeah. Well, that's one of the ways that this has been getting pushed so far. They're getting businesses to close down, and starting when this whole started, they got businesses to close down. They got companies back then to enforce their rules. They got schools to enforce their rules. And I know here in New Jersey, the schools, if you don't follow the rules and if you don't follow the state mandates as far as what all the hoops you got to jump through for all this, the state doesn't give you your funding. So that's why you're not having any schools around here that are walking anything back yet, because if they go against it, our governor said he's cutting your state funding. Then what are you going to do as a school? Then you got to lay off teachers. We already have there's ads on and online every single day for the local schools here, basically begging. They've gone as far as to go into our local town Facebook sites and beg for substitute teachers to come in, because they just.
So what our governor did was he started having state employees go and substitute, like police officers and stuff, for substituting at some of the schools. Pretty smart. But I think Oklahoma's kind of protected. We have some.
Hankowitz has a good comment here. If you want to pull up one of Hankowitz's last comments here. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. Yeah, you were commenting on the Titanic a couple of weeks ago with Sean. You were talking about it, so I just thought that was. I mean, the poop all flows downhill apparently, and Well, these guys are all in the same spot down at the bottom of the hill.
Wow. Crazy. Well,
One thing I'm
speaking of
concerned about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
stores. Okay. I was just going to say, speaking of stores closing, there was a story that I sent you, and we talk about numbers and how those are used in a lot of this, of their magic and all this, and how it's used against them too. But this story where a California man deposits a $33,000 check in a Bank of America account, never sees it again as it closes. And to clarify, once he got this like in your corner kind of news station in on it, he did have his receipt, and did get his money back. He went to, because Bank of America, and Amy and I have been talking about several of these branches closing, and this has been going on for quite a while. But because so many branches are closing, so he went in that day, and a few later that branch closed, not to reopen, and they didn't post his. Well, then he tried to go to other locations. They said it didn't. I don't know who's at my mother's house. Mom, are you expecting anyone? I don't know who that is. Sorry, guys.
Chicken delivery. Nana's getting
Chicken
some more
delivery
some
for
more
Nana.
chickens she's gotta put up.
Anyway, so I guess she's check went in, couldn't find it. They went back and forth. The manager said, "Too bad." He showed, oh, so very sweet. So, and he showed the manager the deposit, showed him, his receipt of his check, all of that. It was a cashier's check. And they're like, "Sorry, can't help you. Too bad." But it was interesting that it was for $33,000.
Yeah.
And said it's hard to believe it could happen at a major bank. This viewer deposited $33,000 through a teller at the Bank of America in Oakland. So, and they said, "Sorry, nothing we can do." He said, "I'm starting to think I may not ever see the money again. You're telling me Bank of America lost $33,000 of my money and there's nothing you can do." And they said, "Yep, that's right, sir." And so let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, isn't there?
Right. So he was in the middle of a kitchen remodel and he needed the money to pay the contractor. So he transferred it from his account at Wells Fargo through a cashier's check, brought it straight to Bank of America so it would clear. But they made him deposit it, which is what happened to me the other day. But they said it would post the next day. And then when he checked his account, and they said, "Too bad." And then because there was no record of action as far as she was concerned, it did not happen. So they went on. I just wonder with these branches closed, just a warning to everybody. Number one, if you are making a deposit, make sure you're taking good records yourself and you're not counting on the enemy to keep your records for you. Because if they do close that branch that day, first of all, they're not giving you a warning that they're closing that branch that day. And any documents that you submitted that day could get lost or who knows what. But after this news station got involved with the manager and called them out for it, then he contacted the CEO, the federal government, and Channel 7. And then the ball started moving quickly because, let's see, he had his.
So they magically found it after that. Oh, you're right. It was underneath it. It fell on the floor. We missed it. I don't know. Anytime I've ever deposited anything, they literally physically deposit it right there, and you can check your phone app, and it's instantly on there.
Well, see, they won't do that with a cashier's check that's written on another bank because you could bring them a fraudulent check. So,
well, what's the point
if you bring them a cashier's check written? That's why I was so angry.
Yeah.
So if you bring them one from another bank, they'll let you deposit it, but until those funds clear from that other bank, it doesn't exist. So they said they he did have a receipt, and they showed the manager, and because these other people were involved, then within hours, Bank of America magically says they have the $33,000. So great reminder, keep your receipts. This is one of the hundreds of bank branches to close nationwide over the past year. So
very interesting. Just sounds like it's
a good heads
warning.
Up for our community.
Yeah, we have to.
I feel like it's a warning.
Yeah, my grandparents never liked to keep any money in the bank. They were the under the mattress type, and as a lot of older people are, a lot of people who care about their finances are, they don't like to keep anything in the bank, and this is a really good example of why we need to do that. I mean, who would have ever thought? I mean, if this guy didn't call all these places and the news and everything, would he have gotten it back, or was it just like, too bad you lost a pretty big paycheck?
I really don't know. I mean, that would be a hard number for most people to come up with. We also came into the new Lunar New Year, and I thought it was interesting. They were talking about the fact that I lost my spot. That our taxpayer dollars are being used to throw these CCP parties with the Smithsonian Institute and the Kennedy Center. Are hosting Lunar New Year events with the embassy. They're partnering with the Chinese embassy to CCC parties right now, where we're basically like in the middle of this situation that is where it came from. Pretty insane to me.
It really is.
So once again, I'm not sure why
there's something
taxes.
Right. Wasn't there something about a basketball game or something where they literally stopped one of these sporting events midway to play a big message on they played a commercial or a big message on the big screen at the stadium or something? It was a message literally from the Chinese consulate or something like that. I
don't know. They own the NBA, so yeah, that would not surprise me. They completely own the NBA, but
there's a lot that they own at this point, just about everything.
Yeah.
I have a question about this whole convoy thing.
Okay.
Did you see the Simpsons episode about the convoy? There was a Simpsons episode apparently years ago.
Oh,
where they literally. Go ahead.
Was it in Canada also?
Yes, it was in Canada. It was Trudeau climbs out the window to get away from the truckers, and like Homer Simpson's like, "All hail the convoy, the greatest sight in the world," or something like this. And it was literally a convoy going through Canada, and Trudeau was hiding, which is apparently that's what's been going on for a while. He's been hiding, and this was years and years ago.
Okay, so Reuters says that it's two separate episodes. Edited clip from two separate episodes.
Yeah, fact check. Gotta believe the fact check, guys. So let's just pretend on Wednesday that the fact check is wrong, and then play that clip because it's hysterical.
Okay, so Simpsons predict the trucker convoy in '99. Let's see.
Look, son, it's one of nature's most
looks like automated trucks too, like the Tesla automated driving trucks.
Oh yeah, he's not really driving. Below runs from convoy. I mean, does it matter that it's two separate ones? The fact that convoy and the fact that Trudeau is climbing out the window, whether it was from two separate episodes or not, I really don't care. This is hilarious.
I don't really know
footage,
that it was.
This is hilarious. Listen, the footage of Homer and Bart, season 10, episode 17. Features Homer and Bart going cross-country driving as truck drivers. The second clip is Trudeau having a Skype conversation with Lisa Simpson on the 2020 O Canada. Well, why is he climbing out the window, though, in the second one?
Either way, there was a convoy in Canada, and this was 1999, you know. We haven't heard much of convoys. I remember convoys from Smokey and the Bandit. You know, there was
when we were kids. Yeah,
that's like the last time I heard it. You know, honestly. Now, here's a question a friend of mine brought up about this: are they using this, or will they use this as an excuse to have more food shortages or exacerbate any shortages that are already going on? Are they gonna take food away from Ottawa and say, you guys supported this, now you ain't got no food, huh? Are you going to support it again? Are they going to do something like that?
Interesting. I don't know.
Interesting, right? We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see in a week where this goes, you know, if there's...
Or will there's the way the truckers organized organically, you have to remember that happened too. Can we do that with our farmers, and can the people organize organically? And I'm getting chills on. And end the food shortages.
I mean, anything is possible these days with the interwebs. Why not? Sure. I mean, they raised what? They were trying to raise $10 million on the GoFundMe, and they're like $150,000 short of their GoFundMe for the truckers, and the government
made them. It got pulled from them or something, right? Yeah, they shut down the GoFundMe at one point. Another reason for using crypto.
Right. Last I saw, they were up to $150,000 short of the 10 million, and as soon as it started to get there, that's when they shut it down. I mean, and they have to give back. I mean, people, you're not allowed to now freely give your hard-earned money to whomever you want. Really? I mean, that's kind of a new step. I mean, okay, so they're going to tell us what we can say. You know, we've all kind of agreed with that. You know, not really, but
we can't say certain things, right?
Right. They're going to tell us what we can say, what we can't say. They're going to tell us what you can put in your body. You know, my body, my rules. Well, apparently that only goes for like one side, right? And now they're going to tell you what you can and can't spend your money on. It's getting pretty scary out there, you know. If you ask me, it's not good. It's not good, that's for sure. I have one more quick fact. I pulled up all these quick annoying facts that I found today. So apparently, Sleepy Joe cancels the student loan cancellation. So he ran on that, and that was a big thing. He went promising this to everybody, got the whole left. It was all crazy. Yeah, we're going to get free school. They're going to, AOC is going to cancel rent, cancel mortgage. She's going to cancel school debt. And apparently Sleepy Joe did not put that in the most recent budget. So somebody been snookered. Somebody been snookered. He promised that. He promised it. This is what we're going to do. Gave every reason why. This is how it's going to be. We're going to, and then what? It's gone. The whole idea, poof, gone just like that. Yep. I don't care. I don't care much for that. I have another little thing too, what I did recently.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's taking chaga, I know my father wanted to take some chaga. He went to the health food store. He got some chaga tea bags, and was taking it like that. It was like pretty expensive for a box of like maybe 15 or 20 tea bags of chaga. So the prices have been pretty high. People who are buying the bottles from the vitamin store, from the health food store, there's 40 or 60 capsules in there, and it's like basically $20 or higher for $30 for some of them. So just as an affordable way, again, I'm not a doctor. I only play one on the interwebs, but this is what I've done. I wanted to take chaga. We have three of us in our home here, and at a cost of $25 a bottle for 40 capsules, you're like that can add up pretty quickly. So I just wanted to show everybody what I did. I went on Amazon and I got a half a kilo of chaga mushroom extract, 100% pure. I paid $25 for this, half a kilo. And then I got some capsules, these vegetarian capsules where they come from Amazon also. And these are the 00. So if you use the 00 and you fill them up, you get about a half a milligram in each capsule. So for a total cost of the chaga was $25 on Amazon. The capsules for this is $7.50. I have another bag which has 1,000. So the price for 1,000 00 capsules was $15. So you're looking at $40, and you can make 1,000 capsules. 1,000 capsules, as opposed to what basically 2 bottles of chaga from the health food store would cost you, or a couple boxes of the chaga tea, which would be like 60 doses for the same price. It works out to less than 4 cents a capsule. So if you want to get into taking chaga, which is really, I believe, which is really good for this
We just
situation
put it in our
that
coffee,
we're dealing with.
like just the powder in our
coffee too.
coffee.
Yeah, I put a
Yeah.
scoop in my
I guess
coffee, but
they would, because it doesn't taste bad necessarily.
it has a flavor. I mean, I wouldn't put it in
It's a
water. I
different-
made tea out of it the first time, and it's nasty. It tastes like mulch.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a good flavor to it. So it's a really good.
Yeah,
way.
it has an earth
Spend-
taste to it.
Yeah. So if you want to spend $40 and get these items from Amazon, and I usually just pour some in a little bowl, and I scoop them up and I close it, scoop them up and close it. You can make 100 of them in about 5 minutes. And, basically for 4 cents a capsule versus like $1 a capsule on some cases, or 50 cents a
Wow,
capsule.
that's great.
If you want to take it in bulk for a family, it's a really, really good way, I think, to
That's a
take
great
chaga.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it does have a flavor, and a lot of people are, I wouldn't want to make a tea out of it and just drink it down. It doesn't taste very good. But like you said,
don't want mushroom
I do
mulch
put it in my
tea.
coffee. Yeah, it does. Right? It tastes like mulch, right?
Mhm.
It tastes like mulch on a warm summer day.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's just one of these little
Definitely.
things that I've been doing lately.
I think that's a great.
Ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great tip. There's one other video I wanted to share. This, talking about like mass psychosis kind of things happening with people kind of losing it. Back to the trucker thing. This guy, I guess they're honking all night long. And so and this guy's like, I haven't slept in 5 days.
It has to fly. The honk and will continue until freedom improves. Simple as that. Simple as that. Fuck you. Fuck me. Fuck you. Join us.
The way men talk to each other. F you, will join us. Anyway, but like people are losing it. Yeah.
I heard a good
Interesting.
story.
And
I have I know somebody who has a family in Canada, and they were showing videos. There's a lot of videos going around social media where for this one stretch of highway heading into Ottawa for hundreds of miles, literally every single overpass was crowded to the max with people at like 2 a.m, at like 15 below zero. Like whole families are out there, and just for hours and hours and days in a row for hundreds of miles of stretches. Every single overpass has signs and people cheering and waving. It's we wouldn't know that if we only listened to the MSM. We would think that it's just a minority. Another thing is that I'm trying to choose my words. They're stating these truckers as anti-medication people, and they're not. They don't even claim to be. They claim to be anti-mandate people.
Yeah,
So
it's about freedom and choices. Yeah,
it's word.
I did hear that there was a group in California that was possibly forming to do the same thing. So
Yeah.
I hate for them that it's this time of year because the roads are treacherous. But, you know, if you're going to have anyone doing it, I guess professionals, the professional drivers that, you know when it's safe and all that.
Yeah.
But
So I
pretty
wouldn't be
wild.
surprised. You know, I was also speaking with somebody else that says that they can't do that in DC. It would be pointless. What would surrounding, you know, DC with trucks do? Nothing. There's no.
Well, I
there's
heard
no
that was
important
the
business
plan.
well, there's no important business
Just like they're
that goes
going
on there.
to,
You know, do it in New York City, do it in Detroit, do it in, you know, some of these other Delaware, do it in some of these other, you know, places where there's actual business going on that they could, you know, make their point more loudly heard. Because if it's in the middle of DC,
but you don't want to
they're
harm
not
your
going to
own
report on it.
business. You don't want to harm your own
Yeah.
country's business. You don't want to harm the businesses. You want to get attention of the people making the effort, the people making those decisions.
Yeah.
So that was my understanding of why they went to surround Parliament. And so it would make sense to surround DC.
Would we
No?
get the same coverage here, though? I mean, yeah, you're right. But would we get the same coverage here, though, if they did that in DC? I mean, I don't think
If you
so.
have real people out there, I think with what's happening with what we just were reporting on, what we were just sharing about who's going away for whatever reasons you want to pretend or make whatever excuses about making movies and getting their feelings hurt that they got suspended for making, you know, horrible racist comments. I mean,
Could you imagine
it can
that?
be.
I mean,
No.
well, they said if you get enough of those things, you're going to start going crazy in the head. So, hey, obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
did she just cancel out, you know, all of these racism things? I mean, like they've gone after. Hollywood has gone after every group, every fringe group, every contrarian group that they can, but she just went after like every Jewish person in the world. Like, did they just kick it up a notch now, where the blowback from that is going to have, you know, there's just a lot going on here. We have to see more of the whole picture. But
There's a lot going on.
you know, did they just cancel that all out by attacking?
But I even saw people that you know I care about, that I respect on Twitter, like saying, questioning, like, well, is she right? And I'm like, oh gosh, you know, there really needs to be more education on what the Holocaust was and who was involved in it, and that, you know, it wasn't a bunch of white people. And even if it was, that's like not the point. You know, I mean, we're getting distracted here with what the message was, but
Right.
I don't know. There's just such a lack of education about the whole thing. You know, the Holocaust was
history,
you know, included gypsies, and they were not white, mostly.
Mm-hmm. We don't know history. We know none of it. We know the stories that were told. We know the stories that were, you know, propagated out along their mouthpieces. Right. We don't know the truth. We just don't. And I think a lot of people in these days now, especially, are realizing that and doing their own research on things. You know, maybe we can use this as an example to teach ourselves, you know, the more truths about history of what happened and how bad things really were. Everybody knows about, you know, the Holocaust, and it was an awful thing. But, you know, some of these countries in South Africa and in Africa have lost multiples the amount of people that were lost to the Holocaust.
Well, look at what's going on in China right now. Yeah, what's going on in China right now? Right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
there's several groups of people that are just getting, you know, completely done away with for any number of reasons. There's some nasty, you know, really bad reasons you hear about why they're doing these things. But who knows? There's so much bad stuff that's hidden. They throw us a few bad things and say, here, look over here, look over here. But you never see all the rest of the bad stuff. You know, a lot of people don't know that there were other Holocausts, you know, many of them in the last 100 years where just multiples the amount of people. Everybody's heard of the Jewish Holocaust, but what about all these other ones? I mean,
well, what's been going on
maybe
in
we're supposed to learn about
Burma? I mean, Burma, which, you know, we're kind of hearing about what's going on in Myanmar, but I don't even think we're being told. Like, I think we're being told like a veiled narrative of that. But there's been an ethnic cleansing there for, you know, like we said, in China, there, you know, many, many places. And it's just been covered up for so long. So crazy, crazy.
Say hi to the mascot for the day.
That's a cute mask.
Say hi, Mila.
Keeping Mila warm with her little sweater.
The little mascot. She gets so cold, she starts shivering like no matter what.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's like 16
Mom's
years
little
old.
dog has got like down to. Oh, that's Mom's can beat her. She's 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
She's gotten down to like half her weight. Yeah, and because of it, she's like no. So she's cold all the time. So Mom puts a little sweater on her. But she's been in renal failure for over 5 years. But Mom keeps her on C60, and so I guess it pulls enough of the toxins out of her body. So every time she takes her to the vet or something, they're like, "We don't know why she's still alive." And Mom's like, "Well, give her C60."
C60 is awesome. It also repairs a lot. We all know about how it removes all the bad stuff out of your body, but it also repairs. It builds up crazy 3,500% more stem cells or something like that you're supposed to have in your body, and those are the cells that go into each part of your body, each organ, everything in your body, and they actually rebuild and repair. So you're getting all the oxidative what is it? Not antioxidants, whatever, you know, all the free radicals taken out, and which cause aging and disease, and you're getting actually repair followed in behind it. It's, you know, I love.
Well, that's what, when I was watching that, when Ken Schwartz was talking about how it lengthens the telomeres in their studies, and the telomeres are the things on the ends of your DNA, which kind of like as you get older, they shorten. So it's kind of like your timeline. And they could see that the telomeres were lengthening. And then in those studies, were they in France or England or something? And they were supposed to be like a 2-year study. And typically, I guess rats live less than 2 years or whatever. And so they use these rats. Well, then the rats lived like 5 years. And so they like finally had to like, I don't know if they euthanized the rats or gave them away, or I can't remember.
No, they euthanized them. Yeah.
Story.
They euthanized them, and then they did autopsies on them so they can look at their internal organs and look at their brains to see
like, why are they still alive?
Yeah. So their brains were actually a 6-year-old lab rat. So lab rats are genetically modified to last a year, period. That's it. That's all they're supposed to live. And most cases they're done after a year. They get a study for 6 months or whatever it is, and they pass away after a year of old age. So these rats are lasting 5 and 6 years during that study, and they just wouldn't die. So when they did euthanize them after 6 years, I believe 5 and 6 years in some of the cases that I've read, they then did autopsies, and they found out that all of their internal organs and their brain was the same of like a 2-month-old rat. They were like brand new inside. It's literally like the fountain of youth.
Crazy. Yeah.
And supposedly it works for us too. I can certainly vouch for it. I had terrible joint issues.
That's another thing we put in our coffee.
And it's literally
the C60.
rebuilt.
Yeah, I feel like it's helped. Not just so I have that disc issue with the degenerative disc, and I used to have a lot of low back pain, and I have 3 vertebrae that are fused in my neck where I did have a disc burst actually. And so then when Mom tells me all about this stuff. And I was listening to Uncle Cliff talk about it, and then saw Ken from Purple Power. And so we all started taking it. And I feel like my back has definitely improved with it. I don't have all that low back pain. And, you know, if it's got regenerative properties, then that would make sense. So, yeah.
That's exactly what
Definitely
I found.
something to look into.
Yep. For 25 years of landscaping, heavy manual labor, you know, basically all my working life, I developed a lot of really terrible joint issues and bone on bone, basically in my shoulders, my ankles, my knees, I was basically just my joints always felt wobbly. Like I always felt that they would just wiggle. I just felt like my joints were loose. And in a 3-year time span, I fell and I completely tore my Achilles. I had an ankle give out in a different time, and I had a knee give out on a different time, and a shoulder. And it's been 4 years now of me being on C60, and I've my joints feel better now than ever I can, think back and remember. It's like I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I don't have any of the issues that I used to have, and that's just me. I saw somebody. So there you go.
I do have a link for C60. I was trying to go find it. It's in the description of all my videos. I've got 2 little purple hearts next to it because it's the Purple Power C60, which is the one that Uncle Cliff recommends. Hold on. I'll put a banner up too so you guys can see my link to do the... Oh, wait, that's not it. So if you use the LTC Lisa code or use that link, then they give me a little kickback, a little check, which helps the channel. But yeah, it's good stuff. And that dog is still alive. In fact, she's wandering around now. I don't really care for her, but Mom loves her. Yeah.
That's so funny. I'm going to keep my comments to myself.
Oh, this dog. She was like always the aggravator, of the group. Mm-hmm. Like Mom had she had the older dog that my sister and her got from like Ireland or something, got 2 of these Jack Russells. And then Molly, Mom's dog, had a litter of puppies. And then Mom kept, of course, she can't just keep one of them. She kept like 3 of them, Angel, Otis, and one other one. I can't remember. And then finally she just had Otis and Angel, but Angel, the littlest one, she's like the tiniest one, the litter, and she would go aggravate the other dogs. And then they would Otis was really dumb. He was like the big dopey one, and he'd just get confused and go bite somebody because he just that Angel was mad and he better go bite somebody. And so she's just annoying dog, but she keeps Mom company and she loves Mom and Mom loves her. So I'm like, fine.
That's what matters.
Yeah, that's
troublemaker.
Yes.
What a troublemaker.
She is a troublemaker for sure. Oh, all these little critters.
I know. Pets are just awesome. I've always been a pet guy. I've had every pet under the sun. We have the dogs, and my daughter has a giant bearded dragon now. We've had hamsters and guinea pigs and fish, and being in landscaping for so long, I've rescued snakes, ducks, geese, birds, puppies, kittens. I've basically found everything on people's lawns over the years. But yeah, I mean, we've had a duck in the house for a couple of weeks. We had a goose once, rabbits galore, tons of rabbits.
That's so funny.
I've just always been a pet guy. I don't know. So I got a soft spot for little critters.
So my brother was telling me a story about the Peabody Hotel and how the tradition or how the duck thing happened. So I guess way back in the day, and then my dad was telling us another story. He's telling lots of stories before he passed. And I got a lot of them on video. Some of them just on audio, put the phone up by his head so he wouldn't know I was filming him. And but I got the story on audio. But they were talking about how these guys were hunters I guess it started in Memphis, actually, because I guess there's multiple Peabody hotels, but they were out and they used to use real live ducks for decoys back in the old days. And then Papa was saying, like, yeah, that he remembers being a little boy and going hunting with his dad, and he would have a string on the leg of the girl ducks, and they'd be out in the pond, and he'd have the drake in the box with him, and his dad would smack that drake to get him to hiss, and those girl ducks would start going whack, 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 whack. And I was like, that's how they hunted with ducks back in the day. Like now it's all, duck calls and plastic things and, whatever.
I didn't know that.
But anyway, so these guys, yeah, I didn't either. So now I'm sharing Papa stories. So
nice.
Now the old guys got drunk and they had their ducks with them. They were out hunting in the field and they probably stayed too late and started drinking in the field. And they came home and instead of putting their ducks up, they just put them in the fountain at the hotel. And so that's what started the tradition of the ducks being in the fountain at the Peabody Hotel. And so now I guess you can go and there's like a whole thing of a guy walking them down the little red carpet and once a day, and it's a big thing. But anyway, it was actually about like hunting and a practical use of them, and it was kind of wild. So
I had no idea.
A
It
little
makes
story,
perfect
a little
sense.
story from Papa.
Yeah. Very cool.
Just
Yeah. Let's see what else I have here. I think I hit on all my points.
There's Papa. He always had a good story.
That's awesome. That's something we'll lose. We'll lose all the good stories. That you don't hear good stories anymore. Maybe we don't have opportunities to make the good stories anymore. It's just a different time these days. But these days, if you put a duck in a fountain, I mean, you probably go to jail.
I'm sure you would get it.
You'll be like PETA will visit you, and like people will be bashing you on Facebook, like animal murderer. There's so
if you tried to use live
stories.
ducks for hunting, they would probably be mad at you, even though you're keeping them and you would take really good care of them. He was talking about how they were your decoys and they were your equipment, and you would take really good care of your ducks. And so I mean, those ducks are sleeping pretty good if they're sleeping at the Peabody Hotel. They're being cared for pretty well.
I actually haven't heard that one. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Papa's got great stories, so we got a few.
One thing I always
of them. I'll have to share a couple of them with Mom's permission, because some of them we can't share. But
some of them should just stay.
Some of them are for family only. But
times were different. I tell my kids stories about how when I was little, we didn't wear seatbelts in the car. I mean, when I was a little kid, it was like if you put it on because your mom told you, that was it, and it wasn't a thing. And now it's like they're looking at me like, really, you guys were like crazy. But like, it's I don't drive anywhere without putting a seatbelt on before I even start the car these days. But we would sit on the little window in the back. We would all go in the back of the station wagon.
Yes.
Roll around turns, and they'd step on the gas too hard, and you'd smash up against the door in the back, and it wasn't a thing. It's just what you did.
Or be in the
landscaping
basket on the vinyl and just slide across the side of the seat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sweatpants work good for that too. You go all the way across. But in landscaping,
how do you play the leaning game? Seatbelts on. Like that's part of like coming of age, road trips and the leaning game. Like, and you got to have enough people packed in there. Yeah.
Right up against
Hope
the door.
The door doesn't go flying open. Yeah.
I was probably under 10 years old, and when I would go to work with my dad landscaping, I would stand in the back. I would just literally go in the back of the dump truck from house to house, and if there was leaves, I'd just lay on top of the big pile of leaves driving across town, or whatever it was, and you'd wave to the cops and you go by, and there was no big deal.
Right.
Imagine doing that now. You're driving down the street 40 miles an hour with a 10-year-old hanging out the back of the dump truck, sitting on a big pile of leaves in the back of the dump truck. You probably get your kids taken away.
Well, I was raised Yeah, I was raised, I was born in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. And so we were raised at the lake all the time. And, I don't know, it just was really weird to me. We were at the lake this summer with some friends, and you know how on the back part of the boat, there's like the layout deck thing. So I'm just like laying back there, and they're like, okay, everybody get in. We're taking off. So I'm just laying back there. They're like, Lisa, you can't lay back there. I was like, why? Not only people get out of the water, but you can't even like lay back there on the thing. And there's like all these rules, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And I was like, man, like things have changed since, I don't know, different rules.
I agree, because if the rules were the same, like I tell the kids these days all the time, I said, if you were alive in my day, you'd all be dead. They would be no kids these days would be alive if they had the same freedoms that we had, back then.
Mm-hmm.
But, on one hand, I think some of these silly rules are probably needed just because there's so many airheads these days who don't understand that pavement at 50 miles an hour is
fluoride. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So much fluoride in the water that we've been dumbed down.
Sure.
That was the other thing. Cliff posted a video of this guy, a scientist, and he said he didn't understand these kids would come into the out into the, I think he's in like, and he says basically that critical thinking is dead, which I've said that like a million times. And I know a lot of us believe this, that, schools, these colleges have brain damaged our children because they cannot think for themselves. They can only believe what someone else thinks,
Right.
Really about science. What is science? People coming out of a university with a master's degree, a PhD, you take them into the field, and they literally don't believe anything unless there's a peer-reviewed paper. It's the only thing they accept. And you say to them, but let's observe, let's think, let's discuss. They don't do it. It's just, is it in a peer-reviewed paper or not? That's their view of science. I think it's pathetic. Gone into universities as bright young, they come out of them brain dead, not even knowing what science means. They think it means peer-reviewed papers, etc. No, that's academia. And if a paper is peer-reviewed, it means everybody thought the same, therefore they approved it. An unintended consequence is that when new knowledge emerges, new scientific insights, they can never, ever be peer-reviewed. So we're blocking all new advances in science that are big advances. If you look at the breakthroughs in science, almost always they don't come from the center of that profession. They come from the fringe. The finest candle makers in the world couldn't even think of electric lights. They don't come from, they often come from outside the breaks. We're going to kill ourselves because of stupidity.
The finest candle makers in the world could never think of electric lights. I thought that was like super brilliant. Yeah.
Yep. It puts it into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Is society getting dumber because of all these crazy rules that are being put in place, or are crazy rules being put in place because society's getting dumber? I don't know.
I don't know. I do not know. It's crazy.
What came first, the chicken or the egg kind of question?
Yeah, that's a great question, though. Yeah. I don't know. I do think we are looking at because people are thinking, and that's maybe why we're seeing this pushback against these where rules have overstepped at this point. And so we're starting to say enough and seeing this pushback of the convoy and people saying enough and leaving their jobs. And I mean, what does my world look like now? Or what can I, what kind of business can I start? Or rethinking, what their needs are or what their home looks like, what their wants are. Maybe that's all being changed over because the rules have been pushed too far, and people are now saying enough.
Yeah, it's
I hope.
it's happening, slowly but surely. There are people, waking up to this. There's a lot more people waking up who've taken medications and now realize that, what have I done, kind of thing. So it's so difficult to talk sometimes trying to pick my words like this. It's such a pain in the butt.
No, I think you've got it. And Hankowitz brings up a great point. Good times make weak men make hard times make strong men make good times. It's cyclical. My oldest son just had a birthday the day after Papa passed. Thank you, Papa, for not passing on his birthday. And I called him and we had a great talk. And he said, yeah, I started waking up at 5 a.m. and I'm taking ice cold showers and I'm running so many miles every day and I'm up to this many miles and I'm doing this and I'm doing these hard things. And I'm like, have you been hanging out with Johnny Litecoin? Like, what is going on? But I think part of the awakening is that, the alpha males are rising and saying enough. Our families are being threatened, or I'm going to get ready. I think it's interesting that my young son that's married and has, his little family, that they're, just getting started on their journey, and he's finding this drive to not be soft and to be ready and to, be able to protect his family. And in fact, he said that he was inspired by, I guess it was Joe Rogan's birthday, and some dude called him and said something about like the day, some quote about the day you are born, you take a breath and it gives you permission to die, or the only thing it does is give you permission to die. I don't know. I'm a terrible quoter, but it's something to that effect. And he just thought about it, and he's like, sitting in the vid, I think we all were kind of waiting for it to be over. And some people were like, okay, I'm done with waiting for it to be over, but I'm done with this. And so he's motivated to go, be ready for whatever, for his family and for, our community and the country. So it's kind of inspiring, kind of exciting to see those alpha males get ready and rise up, and we don't have to give up. They're not all soy boys, thank God.
Well, I know, right? Seriously, what step is the most important step of change? What part?
The most painful one, right? The turning around, the first step.
The first step. The first step is the most important step in any change. Even if it's just a little tiny step, 1% or 2% is better than no percent. Just get started with something, making different changes. We've all gone through so many different changes in our lives. Everyone I know, everyone we've all been touched and changed, and have life is just different now. It just works differently. There's different rules. There's different. Your morning routine is not what it was 5 years ago. Your daily routine, your where you were putting your energy, where you're putting your thoughts, and where you were putting your time. The perceptions have changed. Everything has changed, and you have to grow with it, or you're going to be left behind. Maybe that's one of those 3D, 5D things where we do have these two different worlds now living side by side together. Although they're not physical worlds per se, because we're all in the same world doing this, but we're all living differently, and you had the option to change for the good when this started happening and we started realizing what was going on, or you had the opportunity to dig in and stay the way you were and fight for your old belief systems that aren't really practical anymore. In most cases, I can't think of, many belief systems that a lot of us had are the same as what they were, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So, we do have that duality now, and we are living side by side with new and old, and change and staying the same, and, all those kind of things.
Yeah, that definitely applies to, what Mom's going through right now, where so much of her day was dependent on what my what my papa needed next. Like, what's his next med, or is it time to give him coffee or feed him lunch, or, call the doctor about some medication or an appointment or whatever, it was, and then she could fit in her life in between those things. But he came first for so many years with his health declining and all that. And she said, I've been a caregiver for many years with my medically fragile kiddos, and significantly when Mia was really sick, they're fighting cancer at the end. And she's like, I understand what you mean now by like, it's like you lost a body part, and, that's part of your identity. And, and she's got a long road to go, we're just a few days out, but it is that whole, just take a step, and whatever that new, you don't know what that new season's going to look like or be, but it's also an opportunity to choose what that looks like for you too. That's an opportunity to build a new habit, or, I'm really proud Blind Dave and Polly P quit smoking. That's huge.
The new habit, giving up old habits. Yep. Yeah.
So Mom's got an opportunity where, Papa has blessed her with some time where she can spend that on herself now, which is very hard for her because she's used to always caring for others. For her whole life, she's always been caring for others. So I think your point is right on with the whole changing those seasons,
Yeah. Change of mindset. It's a big change for everybody. And, I know Nana's going to do just great. She's such a vivacious person and such a kind, smart, good person. She's got a big opportunity out there to, find herself.
She does.
Not that I lost somebody physically, but when I got divorced years ago, I had to find myself all over again. I was a couple. I was, couple. I wasn't Jason. I was a couple for 22 years from a very young age. I had to find, who the hell am I? What I don't know. I would have friends call me up. You want to go do something? What do you want to do? I don't know. I don't know what I want to do.
Mom and I talked about that last night. Yeah, we talked about that last night, even when I got divorced, and because I was the primary caregiver of the children, and so when I got divorced and then the kids were away from me, well, that was the first time. I was married for 20 years and had kids for most of that, and so it was the first time I was like not really with my children, and I wasn't either making dinner for someone or caregiving for someone or deciding, like, it was never about what I wanted to eat. It was like, I'll find, where do they want to eat or where. And so when my girlfriends were like, oh, well, where do you want to eat? Or what do you want to do? It's like, oh, well, I'm not used to asking what I want to eat or what I want. And I wasn't sure. And so Mom and I last night were trying to figure out where to go to dinner. And she was having a hard time, like, making a decision about what she wanted to eat or where she wanted to eat, or if she wanted to go out, or should we just stay there? And I think a lot of that is that for so long, she might have wanted something, but it never had such wide parameters. Like, it was always within the context of, as long as, it had to be here at the house, or, I think there's like
close to home,
two pizza places that deliver here, or something, it's a really tiny town. So she didn't have all the options of leaving, so I think all of those new things will be, it's a weird thing finding those new choices for yourself, all over again. But I need to have her come on and talk about it when she's ready. But
yeah,
definitely,
it's an adventure for sure. Change can be scary or awesome. You get to choose. That's the cool thing. You get to choose. Are all these life changes going to be scary? Are you going to hold back? Are you going to be reserved? Or are you going to, dive into this and explore and go on this adventure of discovery? And that's what I had to do. That's what you had to do. And, now it's Nana's turn. I'm sure she'll do well. I'm sure she'll do really well.
I'm sure she will too. And I'm grateful that everybody that, like I said, reached out, sent her a kind word on Twitter or put a message in the comments of the video, I told, go back and read the comments, because people were writing sweet comments yesterday on the video, and it's just encouraging to know that internet friends matter. Magical internet friends and people that care about you, and that Papa matter, and that we all can lift each other up and get through this together. So I'm grateful for everybody here, and we will definitely stay with you guys. We are going to be changing up things. And actually, when I started this channel, part of the reason I called it the new normal, before that term was hijacked by the great infection, was that I was finding my new normal with all those different situations. And I wanted to talk about people going through those different seasons of either, losing a loved one or going through a divorce, and not just loss, but also change, maybe, getting married again or having a baby, those seasons of life. And so it looks like we may be having an opportunity to change. Mame has an opportunity, and so she may not be able to meet with us as much on Mondays. We may just have her back like once a month or something. So I may be changing the format to maybe share some of those stories of a change of season or a new normal in your life. So if you have one of those stories that you want to share or talk about, you feel like maybe you went through a lesson or had an epiphany, or you have something you can share that might benefit the community or the group, and you want to share that, be sure to reach out to me and let me know, because I'm going to be looking for some stories to share with people, just to kind of get people. I think it's a great time to do it as well, as we're transitioning through this time, because I feel like we are kind of going into this. I'm a little worried about my mom's dog, so
maybe like an open mic night kind of thing. You want to, sing a song, tell a story.
Can I jump in?
Those are very popular these days. Poetry, you could give a lesson, you could tell a story. This is the whole story.
People kind of jump in on Monday.
Yeah. There's a lot of options.
Maybe that would be a fun thing to do on Monday.
A few people, maybe. Yeah. If somebody doesn't have an hour to fill or half an hour of information to give, a couple of people maybe. Not a bad idea.
That would be great. Yeah. Good idea, public. All right. Well, you guys give me some ideas, and let me know if you're interested in sharing some of your stories of a new normal in your life. You can email me Litecoin Lisa 2, the number 2 @gmail.com, or you can put a message in the comments, or you can hit me up on Twitter @Lisa Mighty Davis. And I would love to hear from you. So we'll see you guys next time on the new normal. We'll be back tomorrow with Johnny Litecoin. So take care.